Hi friends, Kelly here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to work on a spread in my Life Crafted album. This is a book that I have been keeping all of my crafty adventures in, and I dedicate it just to things related to being crafty. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I've done is printed out my papers from a digital collection from AC Digitals. This is Dear Lizzy's 5th and Frolic, and I have printed out the two papers here to be exactly the size I want. That is the beauty of using a digital kit, that you can make it the right size the first time without doing a lot of unnecessary trimming. The other thing I did to these pattern papers was I turned up the opacity. I wanted to give them more of a faded out look and to take away some of the darkness that was in the original papers. I love the versatility of digital, and again, just another awesome thing you can do is by just tweaking the opacity, you can change the look of the papers. The other thing I'm working with are die cuts from the same collection, and I have just a collection, or rather a bunch, that I pulled out of the collection, and I've gone ahead and die cut, and I keep those in this little dish here. And I'm just going through and pulling out any of the pieces that I think will help tell this story. So I have the typewriter, which is pretty obvious. It's a picture of a typewriter. And then the hearts and the camera, and I'm just gonna play around with those pieces. The other thing I'm doing is trying out this journal card. Now these are some actual physical pieces. These journal cards are from the Dear Lizzy 5th and Frolic Project Life core kit that I've been holding on to forever. So I have pulled out this journal card and I try it out. I really love this card. I think it's beautiful, but it doesn't quite have the look I want. So I'm gonna end up pulling it off. Once I had put the little pink typewriter on top of that journaling block, that's where I'm gonna do all my journaling, I really liked the clean look of it. So I ditched that journal card. And then the other thing that I really loved was just the palette, the color palette of the lighter, more feminine colors. So I'm gonna pull out that darker pink color and get rid of that. Now I keep this spread relatively simple as far as embellishments that I add. I wanted to add some other sort of word sentiment to the right-hand page, and I was really having a hard time with just the few limited pieces I had in my little dish here. And so what I ended up doing was grabbing out my little tiny word stickers here, and I love the ticket that is on the right page. And so I grab a scrap and I just go ahead and create my own little ticket banner by just simply using a hole punch to notch out the sides. I try playing around with doing some layering, and I move that ticket around quite a bit, and I move the new little ticket I have around, and then I go ahead and I commit to the word I want to put on there, and it says loving this, because it's true. I was loving this little typewriter here. So the story to this typewriter is that my mom gave it to me. She salvaged it from a friend back when we bought our house. So this is 10 years ago. And she was so excited because I was super into vintage antiques at the time. That's how I was decorating my home, and I loved that she gave this to me. And so I was so excited. I immediately bought a ribbon for it, and then I tucked it in the basement and left it. And so actually last spring I pulled it out, and I have been using it ever since. So this is a story of when I pulled that out. Now, I am not very good at typing on a typewriter. I have very little practice here, so I do a lot of pecking. I make a lot of mistakes, and the keys get jammed up a little, the ribbon gets jammed up a little, but it all works out in the end. And you know, that typewriter is really heavy, so it jumps around as I use it, but it's really fun to use. And every time I pull it out and start using it, my family comes into the room like, "What are you doing? It sounds like crazy town in here." But it's just such a fun tool to use. Now I know you can buy new typewriters that are really fun to use in scrapbooking, and so if this is something you've ever wanted to do, I would say check out some vintage thrift stores, check out online, but it's totally cool to have one. It's fun to just do these quick little journaling blocks. So as you can see with the journaling there, I did just go ahead and embrace my imperfections and just crossed them out. The other thing I'm going to do to this spread is add some sewing. Now, I am not one for sewing fabric projects. I like to sew on paper. So I have this tiny little sewing machine. It's, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, a Genome, one of those things. Anyway, it's called a Sew Mini, and I've had it for, oh gosh, I've had it for quite a few years, but I think they still make something similar. And so if they do, or if I find something similar, I will make sure to link it below. This is a great little machine. It's not super complicated. It does a few different types of stitches. It's easy to thread, and it's super portable. It's really lightweight, and I love having this out on my workspace so I can just grab it and put it to use in my projects. Now, I wanted to keep this whole idea of imperfection going in this spread. So while I was sewing around the paper, because one, I'm not very good at sewing straight, and two, it kind of looks cool, I went and I did a lot of back stitching, and I kind of just made it look like it was messy. And I embraced the imperfections, and I actually intentionally added imperfections to the page. So now all I have to do is put everything down onto the paper. Now this spread is going to live in the book with the right hand side being in the page protector and the left hand side being on the back of an existing page. And I love how this page turned out. It was exactly what I wanted to convey with this old, cool, vintage typewriter. It just feels very romantic, and I loved how this page turned out. I love the colors. I loved the stitching. It was fun to pull out my typewriter. It was fun to pull out the sewing machine and to just have a play. So I would encourage you to do the same. Grab a sewing machine, make some stitches on some paper, or do some hand sewing. It's always fun to do that as well. And if you have a typewriter, use it and embrace the imperfections of a typewriter. That's the beauty of it. So thanks for sticking around for this video. I know it was a quick one. I appreciate you watching. If you liked what you saw, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And then finally, go ahead and hit that little bell so that you're getting notifications when new videos are posted. Thanks for watching, friends.